Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. First impressions time, and we're looking at this, a Dornier trainer from Hong Kong Models. Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff and welcome to today's First Impressions, where we're looking at this. It's a 1:32 scale Dornier DO335 A10, the trainer version, which takes this usually beautiful arrow-shaped aircraft and they put this piggyback cockpit on it, and it makes it look really unusual and really quirky, and I love that. So I've been after one of these for quite some time. To be honest, I was going to get the Zukimura one, and then I came across this and I managed to get it at a bargain price. So I think originally this was around about £170 in the UK, and I managed to pick it up for half that price. So I was very pleased with myself. So the model itself was released in 2020, but that was new parts in addition to the original tool, which was 2014. It's had a couple of releases since 2014, in 15 and 2018. Both of them included some additional parts. So I'm interested to see what we get. This is my first Hong Kong Models, so I've never reviewed one of their kits before. So let's have a look at the box. So on the box front, we've got this nice digital drawing, I think, showing the aircraft parked and ready for pilot and trainer. It's very high off the ground, isn't it? I guess there's some form of ladder or something to get onto it. And it tells us that the kit number is 01E09. What that means is usually I can work out the kit numbers, but that's a bit odd. Anyway, it tells us also that the wingspan is 431 millimeters and the length is 433 millimeters. And then at the bottom it says the 5 full series. I'm not quite sure what that means. As we look on the edges of the box, on this edge we have some CAD images of the model. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get something that's like that, but let's hope so. And it tells us also that we've got a high-scale plastic model kit intended for modelers aged 14 and up, which suggests to me that we will have Photo-etch in there. Both the ends are the same and cover off what's on the box top. And then when we look at the other box side, we've got the 3 paint schemes that are included. So we have Nürburgring, Germany, April 1945. Then we've got Nürburgring, Germany, April 1945, American markings, and RAE Farnborough, UK, November 1945. And it appears that it's the same airframe in 3 different guises. So that's very cool. You can, yeah, that is very cool. So basically the actual paint job is the same on all of them. It's just different decals. So that's a bit less exciting than 3 different schemes, but maybe they never were. I don't know how many of these were built, and maybe they were all in the same scheme, so I don't know. Maybe that's the best they could do. So without further ado, let's have a look at our instructions. So our instructions are at the bottom of an absolutely beautifully filled box. I mean, getting the box right to fit, this is spot on. There is almost no movement in there, so that's brilliant. The box itself, as with many manufacturers, the box top is very, very flimsy. It's just a cover, and we've got a corrugated base, but even that's quite thin. So the packaging is quite flimsy. It's just to literally contain the parts, and they're relying on the outer packaging when shipping, which is always a risk. I was lucky because I purchased this off eBay and the person decided to wrap it properly. But yeah, that's what we get in the box. So I'm going to dig the instructions out, but that allows us to have a quick look. Looks like everything is individually wrapped, and we've got a lot of sprues of different sizes, and I can see at the bottom our instructions. And our decals, so let's fish them out because we'll do them after the instructions. Right then, found our instructions. So our instruction manual is stapled, but it's quite large. It's been a while since I had an instruction manual this large, and when you fold it out, it's very large. It takes up a lot of space, so you're going to need to think about how you're going to get that on your desk. Now, I use a music stand, so I have them next to my desk, so not a problem for me. And I would say that's a good idea for those of you that are going to build these kits regularly, because this is a big workbook. I mean, this is an A3 cutting mat behind it, and it is dwarfing that. So yeah, it's a good old size, but not quite A3 closed. So on the front we've got the box art again, and then we've got a little bit of history here, and it says, was there any aircraft as unorthodox and unconventional in appearance as the Dornier DO335? Well, yeah, there was. Of course there was. Okay, but the DO335 was to be a mass-produced fighter-bomber aircraft that would have entered regular service. What made this aircraft an interesting proposition was its configuration. This was indeed a two-engine design, but centered around an unusual push-pull design. Okay, and then so it goes on. And it says the subject of this kit release, this is at the very end of it, are the proposed A-10 two-seat trainer variant and the prototype that had been completed under the US custody after the end of World War II. Right, interesting. So they actually completed the plane after the war. Right, very, very interesting. Right, then we have our key of icons for the build. So yeah, get yourself familiar with those, because companies all use slightly different ones. It says, caution, when using both glue and paint, do not use these near an open flame. The symbols provided, such as X, refer to the basic colours of the parts. Okay, although a more comprehensive list is supplied for your use for Tamiya, Mr. Hobby and AK Interactive. Oh dear. When removing parts from sprues, take extreme care. Please check the symbology. Wow, okay, good word. On the left, and familiarise yourself before building this model kit. All good info. Right, as we open it up, we get to step one, which is the seat. Not clear at this stage whether this is the seat for the pilot or the trainer, but it's certainly a complex little thing. We've got a basic seat, then we've got separate cushion, and I'm guessing we've not got pilots, but if we had pilots, that cushion might be swapped out by a parachute, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, there's two parts being put together, and then that assembly is going onto the seat with the cushion. Then we've got photo-etched harnesses, which is perfect, thank you. Then we've got this framework here that we're building up out of 4 parts. Okay, so that looks like sort of under leg support. So yeah, okay, interesting. they don't look very comfortable, do they? And then we're building up this back wall section that the seat gets mounted on, which gives you this assembly here. So this is all CAD drawing, so I don't mind that on the instructions. That can be quite a good way to go. Next thing is the cockpit interior. So it seems that we've got a floor with moulded inside pieces, and we're putting in the control stick, the pedals, and some form of box. Even the control stick is 2 parts, so should be nicely detailed. Step 3, we've turned it upside down by different parts. So we've got a section here, a bulkhead going in, which has multiple gas bottles, and then 2 side bulkheads. Step 4, I'm guessing this is the trainers area, because we've got different pedals, another control stick, and a bulkhead, side bulkheads, front panel, which we can't see at this moment in time. But they're not telling us to put any decals or anything on or anything like that. Another seat being built up. This one is simplified to the first one. And then that's going in with various little control pieces. And then we've got what looks to me like a fuel tank, but I'm no expert on these things, being put together, and it's all sitting on there. So the first thing I'm going to say is there is no instructions here for painting. So I have no clue what any of the colours of this should be. So yeah, I'm just going to have a look, because we haven't seen a paint call out. There's a paint call out at the back. Okay. But yeah, there's no, as far as I can see, there is no interior paint instructions. Okay, that's disappointing. Step 5, and we've got another floor pan. I think we might be mounting an engine on this by the looks of it. So a couple of bulkheads and some form of mount. Then we're building up side bulkheads and installing them. And then, we've got a fuel tank there. That's right under it. I should have noticed that. Right, what clearly looks like a fuel tank to me. So that's been put in. Then in step 6, we're adding the cockpit tub that we built up at this stage here onto the floor pan here. So that, I'm fairly sure, is going to be the trainer one, telling us to cut off a couple of little parts on the bulkhead there. Then we've got another the pilot, I think, or is that another view of the set? No, it's different. Then we've got the pilot thing going together. So okay, I have to take a few moments to orientate yourself. We've got 2 base parts that form a center section, and you're clipping them together, and then you're putting pilots, you're putting seated areas, for want of a better word, in 2 different directions. Okay, that's odd. Okay, step 7, and we are tackling the engines. So we've got a 2-piece main block, and then we've got various assemblies that go around with covers and various other bits and pieces. We've got individual pipe work, so that should really bring it to life. You can see the manifold going in there, more pipe work, in fact lots of it. And then yeah, all sorts of little individual bits here. This is quite a busy engine. This will be a lot of fun, but again, not a single paint instruction. That's not good. So yeah, and then we're building. So I think that's one engine up to step 9. Then step 9 builds another engine, which looks like it might be a larger engine. Then step 11. Right, see, on the previous instructions it looked like they were facing different directions, but now they're not, and it's clear when you look at step 11 and you can see it orientated right. It's clear. Right, the seat's there. Okay, yeah, and this is why you have to look through your instructions first. So we're putting in another bulkhead, and it's telling us to add a weight. Now I've seen those in the box, so rather than having to find something to add weight, they've given you the weights, and that's really good. So that looks like guns being put together there. I might be wrong. And then we're mounting the engine, and then we're connecting it up with some pipework. Really strange that towards the back end of the war they're developing an aircraft that uses 2 engines when you're getting short of materials. That is strange. Very, very strange to me anyway. Right, step 14, and we've got this internal assembly now with 2 engines, 2 cockpits, and we're mounting that into the first of the fuselage sections. Okay, again, no paint instructions at any point here. Then we're building in what looks like an air scoop. I might be wrong, but it looks like an air scoop. So intake, an outlet, and a couple of bulkheads slotting into place. Then in 15.1, is that the same part? I think that's the same part that we built up there. So you've got to be really careful, because they're asking you to install something and then they're telling you to build the thing you're installing. So to a Western eye that reads top to bottom, left to right, that doesn't make sense. But there you go. It's made in China, so it might make more logical sense to the Chinese eye. Then we've got another fuselage half section going on, and we've got a part to fit on the internals, and they've highlighted that really well, so you're not going to miss that. It stands out because they've added colour. And then we've got the propeller shaft from the engine being put in, so you can see how that works. That's fascinating. Step 17, and we're building up some details around the top part of the fuselage that's going to get us to the end of the trainer's cockpit, and we've got the dials going in there, but again, no mention of any decals. That's odd. So part V18 goes on part V3, and it's fitted. Oh dear. Right, okay. Then we've got, what's that there? 16. I think that means from step 16. Yep. Then we've got this front section here, which is covering the top of the engine, and then sort of a cowling ring. Then we're building up the dials. We've got a nice wiring loom and everything there. Again, no decals, no paint instructions. Blooming heck. Then we're putting in a couple of rods, so they look like the guns, and an extension piece for the propeller. Then we're putting some of the glazing in, so the front windshields. 19, we're building. It's a bit all over the place, this, isn't it? We're front end's not finished, but now we're doing the tail. Interesting. Anyway, tail sections going together, multiple parts. Doesn't look like it's going to be difficult. but even the flaps are multiple parts, which is a little unusual. Anyway, then step 20, the tail continues. We've got this air intake. We've got the little door there. That's I don't know its proper term, but we seem to be cutting off the hinge and mounting it in possibly. Well, that's showing as closed, but possibly you could mount it in two different ways. Not sure. And then we have another sort of door here, which again it looks like we can have open or closed. Then we're putting the propeller on. I wouldn't be doing that until I've painted at the very end, but we could build that up as a sub-assembly at this point if you wanted. Then we're putting the rest of the canopy on, which shows that you can have it open. So I'd again be tempted to see if you could just put that in closed for painting and not glue it in place and use it as for masking, and then set it open if that's what you want to do. So we've got the front nozzle of the air intake, and then we've got what looks like the panel for the engines, which is being shown open. In fact, it's built up here. And it looks like we've got interior detail on these hatches. I suspect they will have ejector pin marks, so we will see. Oh, right, I'd missed that. Open and closed. So that's both canopies and engine covers closed. So you could clearly do a combination of both. I'm just interested. Yeah, see, we do it again on the other side. So you could do one side closed and one side open. So that's pretty cool. And again, they're showing you open and closed, but we are adding the front landing gear here. So we've got wheels being built up, tyres and hubs are separate, but both two halves. Then we've got the actual gear assembly being put together, multiple pieces. So that should look really nice and detailed. Yeah, there's a lot to build up here, isn't there? Putting those covers on, and then we've got open and closed options for underneath. So that's the gear bay and the fuel tank. So I guess that's an extra fuel tank in this instance on the trainer, but on the actual non-trainer aircraft, I guess that would be the bomb bay. So yeah, very interesting. Okay, then we've got the front propeller and cowling being built up. Again, I certainly wouldn't be putting the propeller on at this stage. Then 26 looks like we're building up the wings. We've got some parts being built up around the gear bay. Then the two wing halves goes together. I'm already seeing a risk of some sink there, so we'll have a look at that. Multiple parts again. We've got leading edges that are all one part, and some of them that are two parts. So it'll be interesting to see what cleanup's going to look like. Then in the closed position, it's telling you to remove the hinges, which makes sense, and in the open position, you're obviously utilising the hinges. And then we're building up the gears here, weighted tyres, all very nice. And feels like we're coming to the end of this now. So building up another wing, copy of what we've just seen, and the landing gear. So all of that we've just seen. Then attaching the wings. You're attaching the wings with the landing gear in on a model that's already got the landing gear on the front nose. That feels very risky in terms of potential for damaging it. I don't see why. It's an unusual shape. I've got to be honest, it's a very unusual shape. So mounting the wings and then mounting the landing gear looks like it could be tricky. So you're going to have a play with this and decide what's the best way forward for you. But it's more normal to add the wings on and do all the filling and stuff that you might have to do and sorting out alignment issues before you've got the landing gear on. That feels very fragile to me. That concerns me. Obviously in the closed position, it's a lot more straightforward. You're just shoving those wings on. But yeah, depends on the fit. I mean, because of this trainer part, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hold this in some of the jigs that I've got for building aircraft. So we might have to have a look at how else we can do that. Possibly using the box as a jig. I have done a video on how to use your box top as an aircraft jig. So it works for most aircraft, and I think it'd work for this. Right, so then they're showing you an image of open and an image of closed, and certainly you can have a good look round this with everything open. I think that's the way I'd go. You want to see all that detail if you can, and sort of do it as a museum piece. So that allows you to have everything open, including things that would only be open in flight whilst it's not. So yeah, did we see glazing going in that wing? Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. Okay, then we've got our sprue map. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different sprues of different sizes, plus weights, plus clear parts, plus photo-etch, which is harness, and I didn't notice that, and a grill on the air intake. So yeah, plenty to go at. Oh, okay. Then we've got something that shows us our decals in big format, black and white. I'm not sure what the benefit of that is. To be honest, I'm not sure what the gain is there. We'll have a look at the decals properly in a minute. Then we've got markings A, and that is referencing our colours by letter. Yeah, so C light blue and decals by number. Okay, so finally we've got some paint call outs. So that's A, so you've got the two different sides, top and bottom profiles, and we do have a little mini key here. And like I've said, AK Interactive, Mr. Hobby, Tamiya. So if you want to use a decent brand, you'll have to work that out yourself. I say that slightly flippantly because everyone knows I'm not a fan of Tamiya paints, and I've had a lot of bad experience with AK Interactive products, and I've never actually used Mr. Hobby. So just because it's too whiffy. Right, so that's that. Then we've got paint scheme B. So it's the same paint scheme, just different markings. And what you can see is we've got the German markings have been painted out for the American markings to go on. And then on C, it'll be exactly the same, only we've replaced American markings with British markings, which they appear to have plopped just right on top of the stars and bars there. So that's interesting. Yeah, okay. Very nice. And then at the end we have our fuller list of paints. So it says leather. So I'm just going to have a look and just see, did I miss something in there? Because we have letters in triangles for the paint instructions here. Did I miss triangles with letters in? Absolutely not. Absolutely no paint instructions for the interior. That is something we will talk about at the end. Let's have a look at the decals. So our decals come in one of these resealable sticky bags. I'm not a fan of them, I have to say. And they also come with the Photo-etch inside in a little Ziploc bag. So take the decals out. I won't be putting the Photo-etch back in with the decals. Not the best idea. Right, so take off our tissue sheet. And what have we got? Oh, it tells me at the bottom, printed by Cartograph. Excellent. That means we've got really good decals. Now, my sheet's got a fold in it. These were loose in the bottom of the box, so I'm going to put them inside the instruction manual, which should help flatten them. And I can see that we have got decals for the dials. And in fact, we seem to have decals that overlap each other, and they've given them numbers like we might be able to identify the right decal to the instructions, only clearly the instructions didn't tell us to use them. So really strange. But we have got them. So you need to go through your instructions and just mark up those numbers on your instructions. The rest of them, outside of these, and possibly those which look like individual dials, but I have no idea where they go because the instructions don't tell me. And again, let's just double check, because we realised that that the numbers were decals, but I didn't see any. So if we go to the bit where they build up the dials, L25, no, that would be number 1, and number 2 overlays on it, and there is no reference to that whatsoever. So a bit rubbish that. Okay, so we've got swastikas cut in half, so that works. And then we've got the German markings, the American markings, and then the British markings. I think the American version is going to have the least decals by the looks of it. But yeah, otherwise, very nice decals, as you'd expect. Mine have got a little bit damaged because they were loose in the box, facing up with tons of plastic on top of them. So guess what happened? That's right, they got damaged. I've got little dents in mine. So the American version seems to have come out the worst. Although I have got some dents in the paper. Oh, and another decal. Yeah, so, I'm no understanding why they don't put decals inside the instruction book or face down in the box. Not that that was necessarily would have saved them from the damage. For me, you put them in the instruction book so there's some padding around them. Anyway, nice set of decals. Okay, so our Photo-etch is in a little Ziploc bag, and if I rub my finger and thumb together, I can magically turn it into 2. So I seem to have had 2 stuck together. That doesn't make up for the bad instructions, though. So yeah, what we've got is we've got Photo-etch harnesses and this little air intake, and they've covered it in this pointless plastic. Now, I say pointless, there is a reason they put this damn stuff on, and that's because they're protecting the surface from getting scratched. But it's in a plastic bag, and that will protect it. I'm trying to take this damn stuff off. The bag will protect it from getting scratched. And then it went in another bag, which I wish they hadn't have done, but anyway, they did with the decals. But something like this doesn't need protective film, because all they're doing is putting muck onto this. This is adhesive, yeah, you can see. And that adhesive is now all over my Photo-etch. So, yeah, of course you'd always clean your Photo-etch anyway, but if you don't clean it properly, you're messing with paint, and that might not be helpful for some modelers who perhaps don't know how to clean their Photo-etch or have never thought about cleaning the Photo-etch. certainly didn't see any instructions to tell them to clean the Photo-etch. So it causes a problem, and I completely dislike it. So yeah, and as you can see, it causes a problem just trying to get the damn stuff off. I mean, on some Photo-etch, you can actually risk damaging it trying to remove this damn stuff. Not a problem on this because it's a very basic Photo-etch. The relief etching on it is very basic, actually. What they have done is they've not actually relief etched. They've just etched in some lines to make it look three-dimensional, rather than relief etching it and having different thicknesses. And they've probably done that so that you've got a nice thin harness and buckle, so the buckle's not too chunky. So probably painted up it'll look okay. But I've seen Photo-etch done better. I would prefer to have had a double thickness that they'd relief etched. Yeah, but otherwise it's okay. Certainly the air intake grill looks nice, but the harnesses I've certainly seen done better. Yeah, okay. So I have 2 of those, so I've got 2 bites of the cherry. Unless, of course, it's 1 set for each seat. That might be the case, mightn't it? I might be having a moment. Well, I'm getting old. There you go. 2 sets because we've got 2 seats. Shall we move on? So next I have a Ziploc bag which contains 2 weights, and we'll just have a quick look at this. So these are just a couple of cast lumps that have been designed to go inside the plastic parts, and we certainly saw one of those. They do have a number, a letter and a number, so they do have a kit part. So yeah, we've got 2 weights, so we don't have to mess around with liquid gravity or whatever our chosen way of doing it is, fishing shot in blue tack or whatever we're gonna do. So yeah, that's a really nice touch. I like that a lot. So our sprues all appear to be in these resealable bags, so that's great for me. Saves me cutting all the bags. So I'm doing this in the reverse order, so because it was absolutely around this box, and I want to make sure it goes back in the order that it came out in. Right, so our wingtips are slide molded, so we've got this opening here, and there is quite a bit of give in them. But first thing I'm going to say is we've got a lot of recessed rivet detail, which looks very nice. I don't mind recessed at all. And we've got a little lamp cut out with a bulb. So a bit of seam clean up, but otherwise okay. And then we've got a pit-up tube. Looks a little chunky, but I'm not sure. And then in this one we've got some more wingtips. So I don't know what the difference is. And another pit-up tube. And again, the detail of the rivets is really nice. Seem to have rivet detail on just one side here, but we have got sink in that edge there, so we'll need to deal with that. I'm not seeing any sink on this. No, okay, shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, nothing wrong with those other than that little bit of sink. I think we might also have sink on this side as well. Yeah, we have, and I can see a good bit of release agent on it as well, so make sure you wash your parts. But yeah, that's our first set of parts. So I'll take some photos at the end of each look at a sprue, and then we'll sum up at the end. Okay, and next sprue out, this is sprue M. It tells you here in this little corner. It's really, really tiny. But the sprue is pretty much the size of the box, so they've designed the box around their tooling size, which is really, really nice, although we do have smaller sprues that float around as well, as you've just seen. It's nice and clearly laid out. There's lots of space between the parts. You can see how this has been laid out on a computer instantly, you know, and then gone, right, I've laid my parts out, how do I put my sprue around it? So really interesting to see this, but it's nice and clear. Immediately you've got the two propellers there. It gives you an impression of the size of this kit. You know, that's my hand, and okay, I've got small hands, but they're not tiny. So this is going to be a good size model when it's done. So we've got things like the gas bottles, the pedals, got really nice detail on those. That's the wiring loom that goes behind the dials there. Very, very nice. I think that's the parts that stick out of the front of the seat, like the leg rests. Then we've got our little tub here, cockpit tub. Tons and tons and tons of detail, nicely moulded. Just a shame we don't know what colour any of it is. Then we've got bulkheads, and I mean, look at them. Let's get those up close to you. Look at them. I will take photos. But you've got all the wiring looms there, so you could make your wires, some copper replacement wires, and shape them so that you don't get all that thickness there. And that'd be easier than cleaning them up, to be honest. So you can copy the wires and then replace them, chisel them off and replace them, which would be cool. Whereas here, all you got to do is scrape underneath them a bit just to round them off, and they'll look super cool. So lots of detail in all these bulkhead panels. Yeah. So I wasn't intending to lift it up, so now I don't know if it's in camera. Yeah, it is. That looks like one of our seat parts, maybe. We've got bulkheads there again. The pipe work just needs a little bit of scoring underneath. Very busy floor pan there. All sorts of details. We've got fastener details. We've got electrical runs, pipe works, conduits. All the pipe work seems to have its clips and things. We can see pipe work with T-joints, all nicely done, all very nicely done. Same with the bulkheads, we've got wire runs on it all. So yeah, if we can find some decent reference pictures, we might have a good shot at making something really interesting here. Okay, then that looks like fuel tanks and another floor pan, and if we flip her over, and this is our back end, all of this looks like surfaces that won't be seen, so I'm not worried about the ejector pins, so that's fabulous. Just a little tip for you now, when you've got these resealable bags, so you stick them down like that, and then you can put your sprue in without having to fight the adhesive. There you go. Who else does first impressions with tips? Right then, wings. This is sprue B, and we've got the wings here, and we've got the engine covers, and some bits of the flaps, and the forward wheel gear covers as well. And again, lots and lots of lovely recessed detail. We've got double, triple rows of rivets in places, different sizes, all very, very nice. There's no canning, there's no stretching of the material or anything like that, but it all looks good. And this wasn't finished, so it would have been in perfect condition. So yeah, very nice. We do have on these wings sections on the top surface, we do have a raised panel as well, so that adds a little bit of interest. And yeah, same level of detail on there. I'm just feeling, I don't think we've got any sink, so I was looking for sink. Yeah, all good. And then we've got a little bit of a tiny amount of flash on the inside section of that there. And we flip it over, and I'm pleased to say that we've got no ejector pin marks, because look, they've put these ejector points on the outside and ejector points on the sprues, so there's nothing on the inside of that. Oh, just as I said, there's nothing. There's one there and one there. Tiny. Oh, and another one there. That's tiny, I missed it. They are recessed, so it's fill and sand job, but it's minor. We have openings on these, so these have been slide molded, and that's to prevent them getting sink. So by opening up the ends, we've not got a load of thick plastic. Because you get sink because when they take it out, the thicker the plastic, the longer it takes to cool, and the more likely you are to get shrinkage, and that's what gives you your sink. So by opening that up, they've avoided that problem. It's an expensive solution because slide molding means you've got multiple tools working, and tooling is expensive. But it's certainly a solution that works. Just looking inside our bays here, the walls are fairly blank, but I know we've got parts that go in there. Otherwise, we've got nicely depicted framework and actually raised rivets on the inside. How nice is that? So yeah, very nice. And our ejector pins appear to be in areas where we're not going to see, so that's fabulous as well. Just looking at these, because we can have these open, so we do have one ejector pin in that one, and that appears to be it. I don't see that there's an ejector pin in this one, but there is in that one, and it's raised, so you should be able to just sand it out. In fact, there might be one there, but they've made it. I actually think there's one there, one there, one there, but they're so subtle you can't see them. So they've done a very good job of engineering them out. Ejector pin marks that you don't see. That's the future, isn't it? So looking at the plastic parts now, and these are the ones I think that come with the standard. I think that's the pilot's cockpit area, and I think these are the additional ones for the trainer, because that's sprue X and that's sprue Q. So I think that must be the way, but I just wanted to show you this. Clear parts, not clear parts, in the same bag. I mean, clearly they've thought about what they're doing, but that plastic part is in contact with the inside surface of there, and that corner can move and scratch the inside surface of my canopy. So I am taking that out and not putting it back in. So let's do that. So the plastic part is the top cover, the nose cover, and we've got the openings for the guns there. Nice rivet detail. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. nice part in its own right. So I guess that's the same on all the aircraft variants. So why they did that as a one in its own, I don't know, but I might be wrong. Maybe they only put guns on the trainer. Right, so then we've got our clear parts. I'll take photos of all these in a minute. And we've got the wingtip lenses and the wing lamp lens and another lamp of some type. Then we've got the front part of the canopy. It got a lot of struts in. That would have been really difficult to see, and it's pretty poor. It's not good. It's not good. The distortion is, we've got wiggly lines going on everywhere. See if I can show you in there. See, once you put something behind it, it disappears, but when you look through it like that, it doesn't. So depending on your angle when you view the model, you may or may not see it. Then they've put this protective bit of tape over the top of this, but I'm just looking at where it's actually ripped, but that's okay. Just looking at where my plastic part was, and yep, I have damage on the inside of my canopy where that plastic part was rubbing. So let's just put that on my finger. So I don't know if you can see that. I will try and pick it up. But in this screen here, I've got lots and lots of little scuffy scratches which came from the corner of that part. What were you thinking, Hong Kong models? Absolute no-no. Clear parts on their own. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. That is silly. Probably I'll be able to buff it out, but we do have detail on the inside, so we've got framework on the inside as well as the outside. So that means you're doubling your masking jobs, guys. So oh dear. But yeah, I mean, that's a nice touch though. All that detail on this inside. I can feel raised fasteners and all sorts. I mean, that is really lovely, and we might as well put that back on. But yeah, okay, so that's the first set of clear parts. Let's have a look at the others while we're at it. So this is the trainer one. Actually, I think the trainer's got a better view, better canopy. I'll just take that off. And they're nice and clear. They do look really, really clear. I have no issues with that. And you would expect some distortion, especially in the curved ones. Not so bad in the bigger panes, to be honest. In fact, I would say that these are better than those ones. But you see, you've got two flow of material going in, but despite that, we don't have any spidering. So yeah, I mean, the clear parts are nice, and again, there's framework on the inside of all of them. So there's nothing wrong with those. It's just the scuffing on that one. They're very nice clear parts, and I suspect your distortion issue won't be too much of an issue. Right, I'll take some photos. So our next bag contained 3 sprues. So we've got the fuel tank, which I guess is an additional fuel tank, which has the strap moulded in with the little fastener depicted quite nicely. Not much to that, but that's a nice part. A little bit of seam cleanup needed. Then we've got the main gear, and I can see that we've got sync there and there, which is the other side of these pins, although I don't see sync at the top section. It's only mild, and it's in a nice flat area, smooth area, so easy to easy to sand out, and in fact there is a witness of that as well. And we've got rivet detail around the outside of it, and then we've got rivet detail on this, which is all nice as well. And then we've got interior detail that's nicely done. We've got no ejector pins on these, and we've got some quite nice sturdy hinges there as well. This does has a number of ejector pins. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. All in this center section, so they will be a little bit difficult to see when you've got the gear on and what have you. But unfortunately, when you put paint on, they'll stand out like a tree in the middle of a field. So you will need to sort them. Yeah, and they're going to be difficult because they're both raised and recessed. So a little tiny bit of wet and dry and just getting in there and working them. Oh, that's something to look forward to, isn't it? Maybe we'll do wheels up. Maybe we'll do wheels up. No, we won't. Right, and then we've got engine cowling, which has a funny shape. I hadn't noticed that. It's got this sort of elliptical curved shape on the end. It's interesting. I've not seen that before. But yeah, again, we've got nice rivet detail on there. We've got some raised, that looks like a hinge, feels like a hinge as well. We've got raised detail on there, and some recessed panel lines, so that's all nice. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. This looks like a slide molded part. I'm not 100% sure though. Might not be. Might not be. When you see sprue that's flat like that, it's often because there's a tool travelled across it, but it's lower than the rest of this sprue here, so maybe it's not, but maybe it is. Not sure. Right, sprues P and sprue O. So clearly we've got engine bits going on here, and I suspect all of these will be for this one engine. So you can see how many parts we've got. There's a lot of parts here. So we'll start with the engine block, which is absolutely stunning. It's very, very nice. Really detailed. We've got all the little wires on there. That's really good. Yeah, very, very nice. Unfortunately, where we've got this pipe though, we've got a lot of thick plastic. That's the limitation of the moulding process. Nothing they can do about that, but I would be tempted to chop this off about here where this curve is and take the pipe off and then replace it with some wire so that you've got a better look and get rid of all that chunky plastic. Modeller's choice obviously, but I think that would really enhance that. It's a shame they didn't think about putting a little separate piece into, because they've got lots of little pieces, but you could mold something like that and just click it into place. That would have been a nice touch. But anyway, the engine block is nice. We've got separate bits of pipe work. I think this must be part of the exhaust, and we've got weld seams on it. That is lovely. That is proper nice. We've also got seams that shouldn't be on it that we'll have to scrape off. Then we've got the rocker covers, which I can't see it, but I can feel it. There is fastener detail at the bottom. I literally cannot see it, but in the light this way I can. But yeah, so at the bottom of each one of those little indentations, we've got a bolt head. Super fine though. More pipe work of different types, and I know that's some form of turbo or something, isn't it? That looks nicely done as well. Very crisply moulded. Minimum cleanup, to be honest. No sink, no flash. All good. Let's have a look at these. So we've got more parts. They're quite sturdy. The plastic is quite hard, so these don't have any flex in them really. A little bit, but they're very sturdy. I'm not worried about removing them from the gate. That's the point I was getting to. I don't think they're fragile and they're gonna break particularly. Obviously, you do need to take care. You can break anything with enough effort, can't you? So we've got mounting points and things like that. They all look really quite nice. All sorts of bolt and rivet detail on the. We've even got a spline on the shaft. It's very nice. It's really, really nice. Yeah, no issues with that. I don't think we've got any visible ejector pins, and I'm not seeing any. So it's just seam cleanup. Lovely. Sprue P has our other engine, and this is a sprue on its own in its bag, so this appears to be all that there is for this engine, so a lot less complex. I'm guessing this is the secondary engine. This looks almost identical to what we've seen and has the same issue here with the pipe work that needs really sorting in my view, and the rest of the components are pretty much the same. I think the rocker cover has a lump on it for some reason, but couldn't tell you what that is. But yeah, it's all just as nice, nicely done. Separate pipe work is good, although I'm a little bit worried about cleaning up that part there. I don't know if you can see how long the tab is on that, so I think a bit of a razor saw or something like that might be useful. Yeah, very nice, and the welding on the exhausts is lovely, and we've got the openings there which look really, really nice. There is ejector pins in all of those. Didn't notice those on the others, but I'm guessing there probably was and I missed it. Again, fill and sand job, nothing major, all standard stuff, nicely done. Okay, sprue L now, and we've got a bit of a odd number of parts here. Well, firstly we've got a bomb, which we clearly don't use in the trainer version, so that's a spare if that's what you want. I'm not quite sure what that square thing is. We've got some panels here which have got some nice recessed detail on, and then we've got the leading edges of the wings. They're not ejector pins. How do I know? Because there's fasteners going around them, but we do have seam to clean up on that front edge, and again slide molded to stop any sink. Then we've got our tires here. There's no tread on them, but I'm assuming that's correct. And the sprue gate is on the inside surface, so we've got no cleanup on the tyre, so that's a lovely touch. Yeah, very nice. Then we've got parts of the landing gear. Landing gear is nice and chunky. One ejector pin, two ejector pin marks to fill in, and a bit of seam clean up, but looks nice and sturdy. Then we've got a panel, a blank panel, and I suspect that's your decal panel that fits in there. Yeah, there's a recess on the inside for it. So you'll need to sand it smooth, get the ejector pin marks off it, put your 2 layers of decals on there, and then clip it into that. So yeah, why they don't tell you, it's beyond me. But yeah, some nice parts for the landing gear, nicely done. Yeah, nothing wrong with those. So that's our little mud guard as well, which has a whopping ejector pin mark on it. That's very close to the tyre. You probably won't see it, but it's raised, so we can sand that out. That's not an issue. Yeah, so the dial front has raised bezel detail, and I suspect raised fastener detail as well. Yeah, that looks lovely. Again, if only we knew what colour to paint it. Sprue N, and this appears to be almost solely focused on the main landing gear. So we've got our weighted tyres. Again, there's absolutely no tread of any type on these. They're totally smooth. And this time the sprue gates are actually on the outside surfaces, so you do have clean up. How strange. Why would you do it one way on one and another way on the others? Maybe it's to do with the flow of plastic coming in or something because of the size. Don't know. Then we've got separate 2-part wheel hubs. They look nice. All sorts of detail on the inside interiors, which look good. I think this is the inside of the Bombay, I think. Pretty sure. And then all sorts of landing gear parts, all nicely done. No issues. Few ejector pin marks that we might have to look at depending on where they are, but nothing major. Right, what appears to be a really long sprue, but obviously it's the length of the box. It's just narrow, and we've got parts here for the flap hinges, and it's really nice actually. It hadn't occurred to me when I was looking at the instructions, but because they've done the back edge of the flaps solid, if you have them positioned in a down position, you've not got all that seam or a join line or anything like that. You've just got a nice smooth edge. So it's a really nice feature actually, a nice thought process. Yeah, very, very nice. And it's got some rivet detail and stuff on the edges where it should be, I guess. Then we've got our seat, which is quite a sturdy bit of plastic actually. That all looks very nice. And then we've got parts around the engine, and we appear to have open and closed vents there, so that's great. Although, got to say, I think when closed, it doesn't look quite as good. The dividing marks are a bit soft moulded. Yeah, it definitely looks better open. And then I'm not quite sure what those are. I think it might be for receiving the wing spars. Then we've got the little air intakes for the engines, which are clearly slide moulded. So we've got slide moulding the ends of all of these tubes, of that, the mounting positions for the leg rests there, and even the machine gun barrels opened up. So all of that between my fingers was slide molded. So that's very, very nicely done. Then we've got landing gear doors and the engine covers, where the exhaust comes out and what have you. Nice fastener detail on that. Again, there's no stressing on the outside skin or anything. On the inside, I'm pleased to say we've got no ejector pin marks on the insides of all of these. So that was my biggest fear in the instructions, but this is really nicely done and it looks very authentic. So that's very cool. Yeah, you're not going to see that inside surface, I don't think, but worth checking. So, because there is ejector pins on there, but they are all raised, so you can just gently chisel those out. Yeah, very nice. Nothing wrong with any of that. I don't see any blemishes or issues. All very nice. Sprue V now, and these will all be part of the range of new parts in this kit because it's focused on the training area. So we've got this different section of upper fuselage with the additional cockpit point in, which is nicely detailed with fasteners. I was going to say raised, but it's actually just a little bit rough around the very edge of the mold in there. Don't know if you can see that. I can certainly feel it. It needs a good scrape to get nice and flush, but otherwise looks really nice. Then we've got the interior part with some levers in slightly different positions, so that looks really cool. Bulkheads with little bits of wiring on, which look great as well, and the leg supports for the seat there, some handles and bits and pieces, the pedals, the bezels for our dials, the front face of the dials, and our control stick. Seat, nothing wrong with that, all looks good, and we've got a unit there with more cables going in, and then this what I think is another fuel tank that goes on the back there. We've got a little bit of a moulding seam on the back of that, but I think that'll be hidden. It's under the underneath, so I'm not going to worry about that. Then, yeah, that's just a smooth bulkhead, that. And this is, the front face has some dials. So do you remember we saw some decals which were individual dial faces? I think they must go into there. And then we're putting our decal on there and that over the top, but then when you flip this over, we've actually got the points for wiring. We've got the back of the dials, so whether we can see the wiring or not, I don't know. So again, you're going to have to get some good reference pictures for this. So yeah, very nice. I don't see any particular issues with this. All looks good. Again, my comment on the engine block you could apply to this. It's a little bit chunky where they pulled the wires away. I would just scrape underneath rather than removing this. Just scrape underneath and round it off, and that'll improve it no end. And when you put a wash on it, it just becomes a shadow. The cushion looks like it's never been sat on, so if you're going to do this, as I probably will, I'll do it as a museum version, which gives me the ability to have things open and displayed. Then you don't worry about that. It wasn't a well-used aircraft, was it? You know, it was finished by the Americans, which means they then flew it for a bit of testing to understand it, and then the British did the same, so didn't get a lot of use. Right then, our last sprue, and it's got the fuselage halves on our main event. And I mean, doesn't it look wonderful with that tail there? It's just really, really nice. I love the unusual. So we've got the two fuselage halves. We've got tail pieces and more leading edges that have been slide molded. A little bit of flash on some of them. Oh dear, quite a bit of sink in there as well, so we'll have to do some filling and re-adding the rivets. So as we've got to fill, I would probably use milliput on that, which will take the re-riveting rather than one of the softer putties, plastic putty or what have you. So yeah, that's a little unfortunate. The whole point of doing that was to avoid the sink, so yeah, okay. Otherwise, everything else seems to be okay. I don't see any issues with the fuselage or the tail sections at all. I mean, there's not much on the inside of them to cause any sink. So yeah, all good there. Our sprue gates in some places are on the top, which is nice, but on others aren't. But they're all on surfaces that are going to have cement on, so no issues there. That's nicely done. We do have some very light ejector pin marks on the inside of these, which if you have in the open position you will see. But a gentle sand should get rid of those. Same with that one there. And even more so with these, they're quite pronounced, the ejector pins. You've got 4 on each there. Just, yeah. And then on this side where we've got more slide moulding, we've got sink, which I can see in the light just here, runs the full length of both of them. Yeah, you'll have to see whether that shows up on paint. Sometimes sink on the bare plastic in my light I can see, but when you come to do it on the model it disappears because it's ever so slight. I suspect that might be the case with these, so we'll let them off. But you'll definitely need to sort those tail tips. Right, there we go. Let's take some photographs and then we can think about what my first impression is. So there we have it, the HK Models 1:32 scale Dornier DO 335A10 trainer. What are my first impressions? Right, well then, this is not just my first impression of this kit, it's my first impression of a Hong Kong Models kit. It's my first ever one, it's my only one, so what do I think? Let's start with the instructions. So the instructions, do they get me from A to B? Clearly, yes, they appear to. Instructions are nicely laid out. They seem fairly methodical and they make sense. As always, when you're using a different brand's instructions for the first time, you need a little bit of time to orientate yourself with them. But yeah, they looked absolutely fine. Except for the glaring issue of no paint instructions for any of the interior parts, the engines, the cockpits, none at all. So if it's not externally visible, you've got no idea what you should be doing with it. Plus, no decal instructions for the interior parts where they've clearly got decals. So that's a major flaw in the instructions for me. Why do you not give someone paint instructions? It's part of building the model. So they fall very, very short on that point. Otherwise, yes, you can build the model from them. I think they'll get you where you need to be. But yeah, really, really, really disappointing that they've not done that. So that means I've now got to spend my time doing the research for what the interior looks like because they couldn't be bothered. So really not happy about that. So that's a big cross. So yeah, instructions massively could be better on that front. The plastic parts themselves, in the main, very, very nicely done. The level of detail is lovely. The way they have moulded a lot of the parts is lovely. Number of issues is very, very small. And those issues that we do have, the worst being on the tail tips where we've got that sink that means reapplying rivets. Even that's a minor issue, really. So there's no major problems with them. It reminds me very much of Zukimura in terms of its level of detail and crispness, but without the eccentricity of including details you'll never see. So for me, a nice little balance there, and I think the parts are great. They've gone to great lengths to try and make sure that you've not got ejector pin issues as much as they can. Where they have got them, they have clearly had no way around it. So that's all good as well. So it's minor cleanup stuff. There's nothing wrong with the plastic parts at all. Nothing wrong with the clear parts, really. This distortion issue is really just something to be aware of, but it on your model, it's not really going to be a major issue. Obviously, we had the little issue of the clear part and the little nose section part rubbing against it. That's a minor issue as well because we can polish it out, but it's an annoyance. And when you've got a kit that's very, very good, the only things you've got to talk about are those little nitpicky things. And I think that was a silly thing for them to have done. And it's, rub the corner of the glass. It will polish out, but it's a needless task. They just put it in a separate bag. Anyway, that's that bit done. So plastic parts, no issue. Photo-etch. The Photo-etch, it's quite basic, to be honest. Because it's not relief etched, it's going to be a lot more difficult to paint than pretty much any other brand of Photo-etch you'd come across these days. So wasn't over enamoured with the Photo-etch. I think that they could certainly do a better job with that. So not brilliant, but it's nice that we've got harnesses in the first place, so you can't take anything away from them for including them at least. That's the Photo-etch done. Decals, the cartograph, they look absolutely lovely, other than the little niggle that they've managed to damage them because they've put them in the box facing upwards with plastic parts piled on top, but by no means are the only people to do that. However, it doesn't detract from the fact that they did do that and it did damage my decals. Otherwise, the decals are really, really nice. You just need to find some instructions on where to put some of them. So decals, okay. So that's sort of the major stuff done. Then you've got the paint instructions, which I don't want to labour the point, but the paint instructions for the outside of the model appear to be nice and clear and easy to use. So no real issues with that, other than obviously we've not got the full set of paint instructions. So so a bit of a mixed bag. Subject matter is stunning. It really is stunning, and Without buying the Zukimura version, I know the Zukimura version would be better than this. So if you're in the market for one and you're between the two, I would go for the Zukimura one, even though I've not seen it, because the plastic parts will be as good. Yeah, you won't have any Photo-etch. There won't be a need for Photo-etch with the Zukimura, and it's only grills and harnesses here. But you will get extremely detailed painting instructions which will cover every single aspect of this. And now, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking in the back of my head, let's see if we can find those on ScaleMates, because that will help me to do the interior of this. Yeah, and it will be just as pleasurable a build. I'm sure this will be a lovely build and I'll enjoy every minute. And, you know, it's not going to be a small model when it's finished. But yeah, it just lets it down, and I'm struggling to get past no paint instructions. And what that means is, this is my first kit. Could it be my last? Because I don't want to buy a kit that has no paint instructions. Border models, Lancaster nose, I decided to get rid of it. Too many issues with it. Will I buy another border model? Well, I won't ever say no, but at the same time, I'm not going to say I'm definitely getting the next one that comes out. I would have to choose very carefully, and I'm increasingly coming to that decision with my Asian model manufacturers. So RFH won't touch them. I just simply will not touch them ever again. HK models, proceed with caution. Border models, proceed with caution. Trumpeter, proceed knowing that you're going to have to make alterations, and it may well be wrong. So again, you proceed with caution. Same with Hobby Boss, proceed with caution. So yeah, for me, this is a really nice kit, and I'm looking forward to building it, but I've got to do some work to find out what I'm doing with the inside colours. I think it will be technically more challenging than it looks to build when we come to the painting, because there's a lot of areas that you're going to have to try and mask off before you paint. So there's a lot of work in the masking of this, and how you handle it, and some thought on how you're going to build it up and the sequencing. But otherwise, a lovely model, and I would definitely not say to you don't get this, because there's nothing fundamentally wrong with it other than the points we've talked about. So yeah, nice, and I'm looking forward to building it, and I'm going to go on ScaleMates now while it's on my mind. So if you're in the market for this, I hope I've helped you understand what you get in the box. My understanding is this is one of their nicer kits. I don't know what nicer means, nicer in what way, but that's what I've been told. So yeah, very nice it is too. You enjoy your modelling, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds, including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.